I was about to speak to you about how monitoring impact on service level, but I will ask you to let me speak to you about how to improve service performance while we are cutting costs and also um, bolstering safety and security. And this statement is very important because whom of us can think that that this statement can last forever. I mean, do you imagine if you go to any client and you say, I will improve the service, but I will raise you the cost? What do you think that client will say? You know, we have lived it. We have lived it. And also, um, let's think that we improve service, we cut costs, but we do anything about safety or compliance. We are out of safety and compliance. Probably that client will not want to work with us. So, and this statement will last, I mean, for the next whatever years. Who can agree with that? Yeah, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So we have to realize that it is not negotiable that we are always going to be focusing on improving service, on cutting costs, on being efficient, and also bolstering safety and compliance. And I am going to tell you 1 minute story. It was the time of 2020, something around January, and I was working with my team on a forecast, on a budget that we were about to present to a very big e-commerce customer. And I remember reviewing our different costs, and there was a share, there was a cost that was called for extraordinary expenses or extraordinary costs, something like that. And that uh, that share was almost 10% of our revenue. 10%. It was very high. So it very easily come up to me. And I asked them, what was that share about? And they say, well, Carlos, beside everything we have to do about uh, the different expenses for the regular service, you have to know the the um, the compliance records that we have had, or the safety records that we have had, and we have been having too many wrecks and too many um, maintenance costs that were rising, and also a lot of turnaround, employees turnaround. So that has driven for us to decrease our margins, and we have to have this share. We have to have this share in order to transfer it to the customer and rise and have some profit. We have to consider it. And I understand what they were saying uh, on the economic way, but I do not understand it on a service level way. Because if I agree with all those statements that that was a share that needed to be always present, that would mean that we were working on a status quo and not on a improvement system. So I asked them, how can we resolve together? How can we resolve together in order to drop that share from that 10% till only the 2 and the 3%? And you may know that that's why I asked you who was a vendor and who was a customer. But because either if you are one or other, you gotta know that every time a supplier is quoting, it is considering this extraordinary cost. Or if they are not considering it, straightforward. What they are doing is they are risking the service level because no one is it is going to be working out of profit. If someone has a question, you can ask at any minute. So my first question, recognizing all this, my first question is, um, who can agree that as for today, in logistics, mostly in transportation or in supply chain at all, we are having a volatile demand. Who can agree that in this moment, the entire context of the market is we're living on a volatile demand? Yeah, absolutely, we agree. And who also agree, but besides tariffs, tariffs is the very highest issue right now. But besides tariffs, who can agree that there has been years where we have been living on rising costs, different rising costs? Who can agree on that? And also, who can agree that even that volatile demand, even those rising costs, our own customers and the customers of our customers, they have uncompromising expectations. They will not wait, you know. So that will stand for always for the service level that they are expecting from that whole supply chain. Who can agree that the uncompromising service level? Yeah, absolutely. So that's the true that's the true atmosphere where we all are playing, even if we are companies or if we are suppliers. And in that atmosphere that could be had been changing all over different moments within years, there are some statements that will never change. There are some statements that will never change. Even though the volatile demand, we always need to be on time. Even though the rising cost, we always need to be efficient. And even though the customer expectations, we always need to be safe. So safety, on-time delivery, and efficiency are targets that we may always strive to achieve. But there will be no supplier or customer that can achieve that as its own. We are a system, and on a system, all the players need to work together. But if we want to improve something, we have to measure it. We cannot improve something that it is not measured. So I want to ask you, who really, there are no correct answers. So there are only experiences that we are sharing at this moment. I want to ask you, who really measures their on-time delivery? Who really does it, do it? Who really measures it? Okay. And who really measures their driver incident rate? If you are a buyer, well, you can measure it through your supplier, right? So, or who is measuring your cost per delivery, the rising of their cost of delivery, and who is rising and who is measuring your compliance gaps? Mostly the hours of service, or mostly, and hours of service is a chapter that increase direct cost or our inadequate training. So if we want to be safe, if we want to be on time, and if we want to be efficient, we need to strongly measure on-time delivery, compliance rate, rising cost, and deliver incidents. I spoke to you. I told you this little story where we were quoting and how this scenario began, and what we realized and start doing different was that people goes first. We try to design a model. We try to design a model where we can truly um, make a procedure where we can improve. So what we came up is that people goes first. I know that we are on a technology area, but in transportation or in supply chain, mostly in transportation, we are an absolutely human. The human resource is absolutely our very first resource. So our model stands for people, technology, and feedback. But people goes first. But in order to make this process work or this method work, we try to operate it on 4 levels. And into these 4 levels, it is in which the magic really happens. Um, the first level is the network and the node design. Look, even if you are a buyer or a customer, when you are in front, let's say I am a supplier, when I am in front of a buyer, of a customer, and he asks me, where can I serve you, or where can I provide my different services, it is very common that us will answer that we can go everywhere at any time. But I will not say that that is a lie, but I will say that that is not always completely true. If there's no way where everyone can achieve every territory, but in order to give service or to not lose a beat, we always say that. But what we try to do is to be very straight on which territories, on which area we are really capable to serve without increasing our cost or compromising our services. So I encourage you to always be very straight and always review your supplier's capabilities. Planning and orchestration it is our second level. About planning, I will tell you two stories, two quick stories. The first one, it was on last mile. I remember that we designed our node, our areas where we were about to work, and we had too many bands running in the same area, and each one was doing their own deliveries. But in some point, there are appointments that couldn't be achieved on the same day. So all those returns, for the time we couldn't have enough time to go back. So what we did, I'm sorry, is to design by planning, by observing, a way, an operational way, where we had like an extra van who was collecting all those returns for trying to make a second attempt. And even though that will have us invest, because the client wasn't going to pay for it, even though we were investing that, it was cheaper for us. It was cheaper for us to try to have that second attempt than bringing those packages back and have them for the next day. But that only came up by planning and realizing. And the other one is, and this is mostly present for us in middle mile, is that we try to focus on understanding the temporarily demand from our customers, their peak season, let's say. And I know that this may be understandable by each industry, it differentiates by industry, by different industries. But the asset utilization, we will see it at the end. The asset utilization is is um, is one of the highest constraints that we as suppliers don't like. We don't like to have out of service or out of running our assets. So what we realize is that as for the months that are not peak season, it could be possible to change the vehicle configuration. So instead of having one trailer stopped on our customer facility for 1 or 2 days, waiting for them to fulfill it, what we did or we tried to do is to change that configuration to a lower configuration where it can be cheaper for the customer, but they can have it on daily use. And that will also um, improve our clients' cost per shipment. And the third one is execution and feedback. You can do well on designing your notes. You can do well on planning, but your team needs needs to be measured person by person. And there are now too many technologies where we can achieve that. But there's a need, a daily need, in order to improve this, to make it person by person. So I encourage you to work even with your suppliers or your supplier with the customer to have them data in order to monitor how every lane is doing, because we are mostly focusing on the entire on the big picture, but and that is okay, but we also need to focus on the small picture in order to improve. And the fourth one for us that it is not negotiable is safety and compliance. We do not do anything that it is out of our safety culture. Okay, so uh, safety and compliance is for us our very highest differentiator and our highest value. But in order to operate at these four levels, we have to change our management, the way we manage, and uh, our culture in itself. If I ask you what, and probably I will not need any answer for this moment, but uh, if I ask you what is the culture of your company, what will what would you say it is? Think about it. Think for it by yourself. But what I can tell you is that for us, safety and security goes first, and from safety and security we go to service level. And when we have focused on safety and security and make all these changes that I have already related to you, um, what we have accomplished and achieved is to reduce the different costs on the whole operational process. And something that we try to do and we stand for is that we we not always celebrate. We not only celebrate deliveries, but we also celebrate prevented incidents. We need to be preventing, always preventing. If we prevent not to be stuck on the traffic, because that is an incident. If we prevent not to be not high speeding, because that is the primarily reason for wrecks, high speeding or overweight. Because that will drop the cost per shipment. Um, If we would do that, we will easily reduce our cost. So I encourage you to celebrate prevented incidents. And also compliance as part of performance reviews. I have already told you that. Okay. When we speak about technology, there are great tools over there. Absolutely great tools over there. And in one stage, we may speak on changing our entire TMS or our entire dispatch system. But what I encourage you is to focus on what part of your operational process is the one that, as for today, is rising your cost. There has to be one part, and in that is, specific part or stage, I mean, look for a technology that make you improve that very specific stage, because that will mean that you are going to try to start doing small changes, and it will be faster than if you expect to make a whole change for the operational system. It will last. It will take more time. So in this area where speed matters and time means cost, I will encourage you to focus on specific stages. And something that it is also very important is to give your customer, or you as a customer, to have mirror access to the entire operations. You don't be afraid to share information. Actually, that keeps you uh, more more opportunity to have feedback. Okay, so into that mirror access, you can also feedback with everyone in the supply chain what it is having more impact on, let's say, the idle times, which happens to be one of the most important issues in which our trailers are not being utilized. And about feedback, we are very used to only speak about service level, which happens to be on the right side of the screen. You are always having conversations about service level, but I also encourage you to have conversations about the about cost, about safety, and about compliance. And these conversations don't have it only with your management team. You have to have them with your entire team, since the bottom to the upper levels. Actually, this will uh, this will improve your, or reduce, I mean, your turnaround to your turnover employee rates. I've told you that no company or no change can be done only by one side. You either need to be, if you are a supplier, you have to work with your customer. If you are a customer, you have to work with your supplier. But if you want to reduce cost, if you want to improve service level, and if you want to improve um, compliance, I will recommend you to focus in two specific stages, only two, or mostly two, mostly two. One is the trailer utilization, and for the trailer utilization, there's a lot of planning on your forecast that can be done. And the other is the dock dwell reduction, or the appointments times, or the appointment windows. If you manage to reduce, to increase the trailer utilization uh, by negotiating about the trailer's capacity, as for your seasonality, uh, trust in me, you will decrease some cost. And if you allow to reduce your the idle time that happens within the appointments hours, um, that will make us as suppliers to to reduce the hours of service, and by that way, to reduce also cost. So our ROI model is simple: uh, have cost saving, improve the margin, reduce the expenses, and reduce some investments.